Okay. All right, we are live. We are live. Episode 5 of Job Decoder. I'm here with my guest today, Danny Castro. I've been thinking a little bit recently about like the format of the show. Like trying to like streamline things a little bit because I'm like a newbie podcast. Trying to find like the right questions to ask, that kind of thing. And I've made some minor changes that I'm going to be testing out today on you, Danny. So I think
Sure.
that it'll be fun experience for both of us to see the changes. But yeah, so we're off episode 5. I'm here with Danny Castro. Danny, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are a program manager, correct?
Yes. So I
Okay.
am a program manager now at ServiceNow.
Yeah. Okay.
I've been, and this is going to make me sound old,
Uh-huh.
I've been 25 years in the tech industry.
Okay. Okay. Nice.
In December, actually, it'll be 25
Okay.
years since I got my first real job
Mm-hmm.
in
In
tech.
tech. Okay. Well, I'm midway through like my second year. Well, no, I'm like a year and a half into tech, pretty much. So I'm still quite a newbie in tech too. So this is one of the new things that I want to add to the show. I want you to describe your job in 2 ways. First, I want you to describe it to a non-technical person, and then the second time to someone who might have a little more tech understanding. So let's say I meet you at a party. I tell you, hey, I'm Angelo. I'm a pharmacist. You say, hey, I'm Danny. I'm a program manager. I say, oh, what is that? What do you do? How would you describe it to me as a non-technical person?
Yeah. So essentially, I am a part of ServiceNow.
Okay.
And my job as a program manager is to ensure that the people that are selling and using our software
Mm-hmm.
have what they need in order to be able to use it, sell, implement, and deliver our software solutions at ServiceNow.
Okay.
So
And
you
if I don't know what
basically just
ServiceNow
know
is,
how
how
to
would you
use
describe
it.
that?
Great, we'll let you learn
Yeah.
how to use it.
Okay, nice. Sorry, I'm having a little bit of an internet delay here, but yeah, that's great. But how would you also describe ServiceNow to like a layman who doesn't know what it is?
So to the layman, ServiceNow is a
Mm-hmm.
system that can be used to handle IT tickets. So
Mm-hmm.
you have a problem because your laptop broke. You need to put in a ticket.
Right.
You go to
Right.
ServiceNow, you can put in the ticket for it. So, hey, drop my laptop. Come help me
Yeah.
fix it. ServiceNow is
Okay.
the engine for that.
Yeah.
We do AI. So
Mm-hmm.
if your company has a AI help desk feature, you need to get help. You need to say, okay, how many PTO days do I have left?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of asking the HR system and
Right.
wait to reply,
Yeah.
we power the AI engine that'll go ahead and give that to you and give you an
Okay.
answer. Say, oh, hey, you got 9 days of PTO
Yeah.
left for the year.
Yeah. Okay. So it's much more streamlined, and the information is right there. It's not up to like people forgetting to mark things down. The information is right there where you need it.
Exactly,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly.
Nice.
AI is being built into everything with ServiceNow
Yeah. Okay.
because everybody is needing AI functionality, right?
Yeah. Right.
So I dare you to
Okay.
find somebody that's not using it in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form.
Even I use it a lot. I use it mostly like kind of like as a replacement for Google in a way. Like I use it as a search engine kind of because like if I need to like fix something that's broken, you usually in the past you would say like how to fix this Reddit, and you could like Reddit thread from like 10 years ago. But now I can just like talk to the AI like live and like get it going, figure out the steps I need in the exact correct way, take photos of the thing that's broken and send it to the AI. You know,
Yeah,
all that stuff
yeah.
that I need to
Although
do.
not to cut you off, but Sebastian, yes, we are a ticketing system for enterprises. Although
Yeah.
the stuff we're starting to do for CRM systems
Yeah.
is great. So for those of you who aren't aware what a CRM system, it's a customer relationship management
Okay.
system.
Yeah.
So helps you streamline processes for sales and marketing, customer service, that kind of thing. So ServiceNow isn't just the ticketing system.
Yeah.
They've kind of evolved beyond that. But
Right.
that was the bread and butter for years. It was like if you ever had to create a ticket, you probably use ServiceNow to create that ticket.
Right. Okay. And if I asked you to describe the job to someone who's more tech savvy, who's been in the industry for a couple of years but doesn't really know what a program manager really is, how would you describe it? Would it be different?
So I help enable the workflows
Mm-hmm.
inside of ServiceNow.
Yeah.
So you can go ahead and set up the enterprise workflows to designate not just when the ticket gets open,
Yeah.
what staff is going to deal with it, what appropriate resources,
Yeah.
and all of that. And so my job is to make sure you have all the information on the latest pieces of that,
Yeah.
latest sides, what's coming out, what's available, what's happening, and be able to give you all of that inside information. So You need to go ahead and get some code for it. We've got you. You need to do whatever you have to do to go and implement it, whether it's on-prem, cloud, whatever the case may be. We can help you with that side of it.
Okay, nice, cool. And you've been working for ServiceNow for how long?
So I've been with ServiceNow since January.
Okay, so relatively new. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So tell us about like your like career path and your education path. Like we spoke about this a little bit before. You mentioned that you used to like deliver ice sculptures or something like that, and then now you're a tech veteran. Like, I want to know all about it.
So I graduated from high school when I was 17.
Okay.
Was one of those early birthday kids. So my birthday falls so early that by the time I graduated high school, I was 17.
Okay.
And I went to DeVry in Chicago. So I'm originally from Chicago, Illinois.
Okay.
Before anyone asks, White Sox. Always ask White Sox or Cubs.
Okay.
White Sox guy.
You're a White Sox guy. Okay.
And so started doing computer information systems because back in the day, you could only do programming. There wasn't networking degrees. There wasn't cybersecurity. I know I'm dating myself. I don't care.
It's fine. It's fine.
That's fine. And congratulations if you even know what COBOL is. COBOL. For anyone who wants to Google or ChatGPT, what the hell? COBOL.
I've actually heard of it because I have a friend who also had like a similar sort of start. He started studying tech many years ago, and I think COBOL was the first one that he used. And he told me that he learned it like through just reading books mostly, like going to the library and just reading through books. Things have changed so much since then.
Which was the case because if you didn't have a mainframe, you didn't have the ability to do COBOL.
Right.
So I went in and started learning development.
Yeah.
And, I love developers. That's why I've always been integrated with them. But I didn't want to do development, but there was no other career paths.
Yeah. And
so eventually I turned 21. After 4 years, I had 90-something college credits, couldn't finish, didn't have the money to finish.
All right. Okay.
So I was living in my mom's attic, and a buddy of mine says, "Hey, I can get you a job." Yeah. They used to work at this place delivering ice sculptures. I'm like, no, why not? Right? So worked for a place called Nadeau's in Chicago, which is one of the oldest ice houses in the country.
Okay, nice.
So there's a big tradition when it comes to ice houses and ice sculptures and the old style refrigerators that, and the icemen that used to come and deliver ice. Yeah. Right. And so I was working delivering ice sculptures for a couple of years, doing that, not really able to get my foot in the door.
Right. Okay.
And eventually a friend of mine who lived in Grand Rapids, Michigan, worked for a small independent internet service provider. Okay. In Grand Rapids.
And so what year did you say this was?
So this was now in late 2000.
Late 2000. Okay.
Late 2000.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And so he says, "Hey, I work at this help desk. Why don't you come over? I might be able to get you a job. I don't know." So I went over because I had a lot of friends who lived in Grand Rapids. Yeah. Took the Greyhound 6 hours to get to Grand Rapids on the Greyhound. And I went in and interviewed, didn't think much, went back, and they called me back and they said, "Hey, we can have you come start. I can't guarantee too many hours. Sure. I can guarantee like maybe 20, 30 hours. Yeah. I said, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, it's an opportunity in the industry. Why not take it?
So since I had a lot of friends in Grand Rapids, I had a network. Okay. So I was able to quickly get a very tiny, small little apartment for like $500. Nice. With a bathroom that wasn't really a full bathroom wall, even. But, it was my first starting point, right?
Yeah, you got to start somewhere.
And when I started working at that help desk, that's when I really started learning about IT and getting real world experience. So back in the day, I was helping support dial-up, which is going to make me sound even more old. But 56K dial-up back in the day, back then, especially.
I remember dial-up.
Yeah, supporting ISDN. Now, the cool thing about this internet provider is they had a gigantic data center. Okay. So because of the data center, I learned about data center technology. Yeah. For a while in that data center, they actually hosted the biggest Christian website in the world.
Really? Okay.
Called Gospel Communications was a company. So, I eventually learned about NOC centers because they had T1 lines.
Okay.
Back when you can charge like $700 for a point-to-point T1 for the blazing 1.5 meg speed.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, right? And so I got to learn all that boots on the ground, the hard way.
Yeah, that's the best way.
I spent 3.5 years working there.
Okay.
Did the help desk, did sales, learned about domain registry back in the day when you used to charge $66 for domain registry. And people were like, this is a bargain. I don't have to do a domain registry. Now you go to GoDaddy for 99 cents for your first year. So that's how I kind of got my foot in the door with the help desk. And something that I encourage a lot of people to do, if you want to figure out how do I get into tech, a help desk is a great place to start.
Okay.
Because with the help desk, you get so many random things.
Yeah.
The minute you pick up that call, you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
Yeah.
And so having the ability to think on your feet quickly when things are down and people are mad, and being able to help them out, having that help desk experience really helped me with a lot of the fundamentals that I didn't learn those 3.5 years at the RI. Quite honestly.
Yeah. Okay.
Because learning how to deal with people, deal with the technology, and those soft skills.
Yeah.
Because people oftentimes think that, this guy knows about AI and he's got to know about all this technical stuff. But like, for example, the last company I was at was an AI startup and dealing with chat and agentic AI solutions.
Yeah.
The technical side of it was only a small portion of it. Being able to teach people how to use the technology, being able to explain concepts to people that wouldn't necessarily understand, because they don't understand training models. They don't understand some of these things that we're doing. But being able to help bridge that gap, I learned that at a help desk.
Okay.
So nice. The technology is only a very small portion of it.
Yeah. Okay. Nice.
You can use and apply and understand.
Yeah.
It is perfect. Because I'll give you another example. One time, I went in. I had this old Jeep that was going to get fixed because it had a door that was bad, where the window wouldn't go up, and had the 6 speakers. So took it to a place, made an appointment, took it to a place. I show up there on that Monday morning at 10 o'clock. There's only one person working there because the other people called in sick. And I see this young man who's working the desk, who's letting everyone know this is a situation, this is going on. And I'm just sitting in the waiting room, and I hear him calling people up. Hey, can you come in?
Yeah.
What can you do? And while people are getting testy with him on the other side, he's calm, cool, collective.
Right.
And I said to myself, that's the kind of person I want when my data center's down.
Right.
That's the kind of person I want when stuff hits the fan.
Yeah.
You need people like that. And those are skills you can't teach on the technical side, but those are the people skills.
Yeah.
Really resonate. And people are going like, oh, okay, this is what's going on. Okay, great, thanks for the update.
Yeah.
And I looked at that young man. I was like, that's the kind of person I would have to work in tech.
Yeah. So also as a program manager, would you say that these kinds of skills are also very important?
Absolutely, because part of what I have to do as a program manager is I need to work with the various different departments and groups. You can imagine a company like ServiceNow is huge.
Yeah.
There's so many different groups that sometimes you have to go and say, okay, who can I reach out to for this? And you reach out and you build those relationships, and you do that. And actually, I'm going to use Charles. Charles, I see you. Tenemos que hablar. Charles, I worked with Charles when I was at Cisco.
Okay.
And Cisco's another group where they're so massive and so gigantic that, like, I worked with Charles Charles was on an adjacent team to me, but I worked closely with his group.
Yeah.
And building those relationships with Charles and everyone he had under his team was important. So being able to help bridge gaps, being able to help say, okay, who are the people I need to talk to? How do we work with them?
Right.
Figuring out the styles they work with, the parameters, because sometimes these people may only say, oh, I only have 5 hours a week to dedicate to X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
So then you have to figure out, how can I get the most out of those 5 hours when I'm dealing with this particular group?
Right. Okay.
How can I make sure that what they're doing translates to what I need? And I'm not trying to be selfish, right? Because I don't want to dominate their time and their work. They have their things, and we're all part of this moving ecosystem.
Yeah.
So figuring out how best to work within the groups and being able to say, okay, if I need this, these are the people I need to go to. I need that. These are, and it's the same way around the other side when they come to me and they say, oh, Danny, I need help with this. Great. And I work with them and help them. So being a program manager, you are like figuring out what are the moving pieces and how do we work within those moving pieces, because it's like a car. You turn on the car, the ignition goes, and then things start happening everywhere in the car. There's electrical systems that are going on. There's this radiator that's doing this.
Right.
This thing is doing that. Belts are going, all these different things. And as a program manager, if I were to look at the car, I'm going, okay, are the belts doing what they need to do at this moment? Great.
Right.
Gas, is the gas system working? Great.
Right.
Is the alternator going? Good. Battery, this, that. And it's the same way with program managers.
How do you like have an understanding of what metrics do you sort of use to know which specific pieces are working correctly?
It varies. It varies quite honestly. Sometimes we have set KPIs that will let us know. So that way we know, oh, okay, this is working, this isn't. Sometimes it's a gut feeling.
Okay.
Because there's times where things can be measured and there's things that you can't measure, but you just have a feeling and you know about it.
Sure. Okay. So like having a good sort of sense of what's the word? Like intuition is a very important part of the job, you would say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So sometimes there's an intuition to this. So you kind of had the feeling you're like, I don't know about this.
Yeah. Plus the experience and the confidence also to like go with your gut in these kind of situations too, I suppose also helps.
Exactly. Because here's the thing, my personality. Yeah. And a friend of mine's, Antoine, who's on here, will say this. We joke about that I'm the mayor because I'm one of those people that knows everyone. Like if we were to go to like an all things open event, here in Raleigh, I can guarantee you I know half the folks there, right? I know who they are. And I'm one of those people that just knows people and gets to know them, and then eventually, if we can work together, great. But I like being the connector. I like being the bridge. And as a program manager, you are the connectors. You're the bridge. You're the educator. You're all of those things.
Okay, yeah, that's cool. I mean, I think you covered a lot of like the sort of personality requirements for this kind of job. But what about like the tech requirements? I imagine that you would have to be quite experienced to deal with the whole gamut of things that you have to deal with every day.
Yes and no. And the reason I say no is because you have to remember some of the technology is still evolving,
right?
As we speak, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I understand data center technology, so I can tell you about rack, stack, and patch.
Okay.
And what's needed for that. When it comes to the AI technology, even though I worked at that AI startup for a year and a half, and I know agentic AI, there's new portions of AI that are coming out now.
Okay.
That I don't know that I need to learn, and I'm learning. So, being able to learn and adapt technology is key.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, what we're talking about now, 2 years from now, there could be a language that comes out that destroys everything we knew about everything.
That's always the risk.
You don't know XYZ language. That's what we're all using. So you have to be adaptable. You cannot be so specialized in just one thing that then you become, unusable.
Right.
So as a program manager, I have to be able to adapt and learn about technology.
Yeah, constantly.
So, like for example, I was at a company called Cactus. I was a part owner for a little while.
Okay.
Which was a development shop that developed in Django.
Okay.
I don't know how to program in Django, but I understand concepts.
Okay.
But there were things I had to learn as part of that. So,
so that's also part of the job then, just constant learning, constant education.
Constant learning, constant education.
Right.
Because everything is going to change at a moment's notice. And so you have to be willing to learn it and unlearn it.
Right. Okay. So that's also like a personality trait that someone needs to have. They need to like be humble enough to be willing to be educated constantly, even though they have so much experience in the industry. You know, you've had like 25 years, but you're still every day still learning because there's still new stuff to learn, which is a very important trait to have.
Still learning because, you know, what I learned 10 years ago doesn't necessarily apply to today because we weren't integrating AI into some of that functionality like we are today.
Yeah.
So I can't say like, oh, I knew this 10 years ago. We're good. No.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. Same thing, you know, with the data center technology. What we knew about data centers and when we had data centers back in the early 2000s, not the case now.
Yeah.
But it's a starting point.
Right.
Because you can then say, okay, this is what we did. Now let's look at what we do now and what we have now. So you have to be willing to learn and be humbled and just sometimes just say, I don't know. And I need to learn.
Okay. Let's say somebody's listening to what you're saying right now and they're thinking like, you know, light bulb, this is like the kind of stuff that I want to do. Like where would you start if you were like trying to educate yourself to get into this kind of position?
So I would say first and foremost, start joining meetup groups.
Okay.
To start learning about this because some of the greatest education I got was never in college or in the 9 to 5.
Right.
It was by attending meetups, talking to people, networking, and learning from other people. So that'd be the first place to start.
Yeah. Okay.
Because we're now in a place with the way technology is moving that you don't need the person that's worked on this thing for 15 years.
Right. Okay.
You don't need to be that person. But you need to be the person that can understand the technology. How does it apply to what people are doing? How is it going to apply to what a company wants to implement? So being able to learn those things independently is the first step, first and foremost. And then get involved with a mentor. Al Finley was a mentor that I got from a Program Management Institute program back in 2018.
Yeah.
Amazing man, an older African-American gentleman who ex-military is now working his doctorate, works for the state. We still keep in touch after the mentorship program ended. And learning from him helped me tremendously. Okay. And I will say this. There's two kinds of mentors. There's the mentor where you're like Al, where it's like, oh, Al is mentoring me and we have that good. And then there's the silent mentor where it's like, I'm learning from them based on what they're doing, what they're posting on LinkedIn, what they're posting on the blog, what they're posting here. Yeah. So I'm not directly saying, oh, mentor me, but I'm learning from them and I'm absorbing that.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to teach a person. I mean, also you can like give them certain tasks to work on where they have no choice but to sort of learn while they're doing it, you know. I think that's a good way of also identifying weaknesses that people can try and improve on. But so also I wanted to ask you, like, you've already talked quite a bit about what the day-to-day job is like, but like wait, sorry, what was I gonna ask you? That wasn't the question. No. Oh, the question was oh, like is there like a single specific like quality that you could like distill it into that people most need to have to get good at this kind of job? Whether it's like be adaptable? Okay.
Be adaptable. Yeah. It's always like the old school Swiss Army knife. Yeah. You need a can opener. Right. You need a screwdriver. Yeah. You need a cork.
Yeah. I have one of those in my desk. Yes. It's enormous. My dad gave me this like 20 years ago. Look at the size of this thing.
That is
it's enormous. Yeah, I have like knives. I have like a corkscrew. I have like a compass somehow. I have a magnifying glass. I will never throw this thing away. This thing has bailed me out in so many situations.
And you know what's the amazing thing when we look at the Swiss Army analogy? Yeah. You may not use it now, but one day you will.
Yeah, exactly.
the part about being adaptable that
Yeah.
comes in with this kind of job. Like,
Yeah.
I may not need this skill now,
Mm.
but one day I may. So, like, I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. So I'm bilingual. I fully speak Spanish.
Right. Yeah.
I can read it, write it.
Yeah.
And there have been roles where I haven't used my Spanish.
Right.
And then there have been roles where I had clients in Argentina and I was having to write documentation in Spanish, do webinars in Spanish.
Yeah.
So the Spanish was just another little piece of that, and being adaptable to be able to say, okay, what do we need for this customer in Spanish? Cool.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's make it happen.
Yeah.
So because
I was going to ask you about that actually.
In a way.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I mean, you worked with people in Latin America. Like, how do you leverage your Spanish fluency and regional experience, like tailor materials and communications, that kind of stuff?
It's interesting because as English speakers, we know that there's certain phrases in Australia and in the UK that would
slang type stuff.
You look at them, you're like, wait, what? Yeah, you use this word with me.
Yeah, we had that in South Africa too.
Yeah. And so it's the same way in Latin America with that. But I will say this, and I've always told people this, because unfortunately there have been times when I've been hired for companies to work within Latin America because I know Spanish.
Right.
And the one thing that companies don't realize is don't hire me because I know Spanish.
Yeah.
Hire me because I know how to talk and relate to people in Latin America.
Right. Okay, it's not just the fluency of the language; it's like the fluency of understanding people and like regional aspects and that kind of thing.
Yes, like I'll give you an example. I was boots on the ground in Argentina visiting a customer. I was at a trade show.
Okay.
Argentina, man, women doesn't matter. You do the double kiss, right?
Right. Yeah.
In America, they're like, oh,
yeah.
In Latin American culture, that's the way it is, and you have to be adaptable to be able to say, okay, cool, that's how we do it, and then we start our meeting.
Yeah. Right? I have the exact same experience because when having moved from South Africa to Portugal, in South Africa you shake someone's hand, maybe you hug them, you don't do the double kiss thing, but in Portugal everyone does that, and it's something that I've had to get used to. That I don't think I will ever fully get used to, But I still like force myself to do it sometimes. It doesn't feel right to me, but like I don't know, you got to do it sometimes.
So, culturally speaking, and it even happens within. Not just in Latin America, but when I'm dealing with people in Europe and other places. Yeah, we are a global economy now. Yeah, and we have to be able to adapt to every culture. Right, it may take a little bit, but you may, sometimes I have to figure out like what's the common ground here that I have with this person. Like if it's someone in Latin America, it's a little easier for me. Sure. If it's someone North American, easier. Yeah. If it's someone in some other regions, right, may take a little bit. Yeah. But you eventually have to be able to figure out that common ground. Yeah. And being adaptable. So,
yeah. Okay. That's cool. I mean, yeah. Sorry. Go ahead.
At the end of the day, we need to relate to these people that we're working with. Okay. And so how we relate to them is key, because I could deliver the greatest technology that's going to solve your company's needs. Yeah. But if I don't have a good relationship with me, you're not going to want to adapt that. You're not going to want to learn from me. You're not going to want to buy or sell from me.
Right. Yeah. Character is a very important thing, I think, in any walk of life, any career, I think. But yeah, I was going to ask you something. Again, I forgot. Oh no, it wasn't a question. It was more of a statement. Because I also like have quite a lot of experience dealing with different types of cultures nowadays. Because where I live in Lisbon, and there's a big expat community here. And the majority of my friends, I have Portuguese friends, but the majority of my friends are foreigners, and they're from everywhere. Like one of my best friends is Singaporean. I got quite a few American friends. I got a few friends from Latin America, some from Australia, some from Africa. From all over the place. Some from Eastern Europe. And I think people, in some environments, they kind of homogenize a little bit, when they're like away from home. But once you go to their home ground, once you go to their country, things are very different. It's like there can be like a culture shock a little bit sometimes, And a good way to train yourself to deal with this kind of stuff is just to just meet new people, just like spend time with people from other places. And if you can travel, if you can afford to travel, if you can take the time off work and stuff like that, go to conferences in other countries if you can, You'll make new contacts, you'll learn new things. You have a better understanding of the world, It's one thing that's nice about working for a remote company also, because I live here in Portugal, but the company I work for is American. I'm always dealing with people from different parts of the world because we also have a lot of, Latin American influence in the company, that kind of thing. And one piece of advice that I always give to people is, like open your mind, open your heart, give people from other cultures a chance, learn from them as much as you can, try and teach them about, your own culture, that kind of thing too.
Yeah, I
And
mean, that was one of the greatest things that I had having grown up in Chicago.
Yeah.
Because in Chicago, you have certain neighborhoods that have packets of people.
Right.
So I grew up in Humboldt Park. I'm Puerto Rican, and that was the big Puerto Rican part of town. Like literally, we have flags, Puerto Rican flags that run over street to street in two different parts of the city. Mm-hmm. That's our area. Okay. But then you have other parts on the northwest side, the Ukrainian village, where all the Ukrainian immigrants moved to back in the day. You had La Villita, where the Mexican American community is. Right. You have Devon, which has a big Indian American community. Yeah. So being in a place where I got to experience so many different cultures in one spot really helped me as I got older, because I was still in Chicago, but I was around so many different people. Yeah. That it's like, it didn't matter if I was in the Polish neighborhood, the Ukrainian neighborhood, the Puerto Rican neighborhood. It didn't matter. Yeah. You learned how to adapt because we all were like, we're all in Chicago. We're all here. Yeah. We're all
in this together. Yeah. That's amazing. Yeah. In South Africa, I had a bit of a different experience because things are a little more stratified, after apartheid and all that. But I also went to school with a lot of kids of different backgrounds, different neighborhoods and that kind of thing. So we often did integrate, in different regions, different areas of the country, different neighborhoods with different sort of, majority populations of people and that kind of thing. We call South Africa the Rainbow Nation. It's very similar to America in this kind of way. We have a lot of foreigners, a lot of expats, a lot of people who grew up there who are from, second, third generation families that came over. So America and South Africa are quite similar that kind of way. But anyway, we're almost going to wrap up here. So just the last couple of questions I want to ask you. Are there any resources that you can recommend, like anything educational, productivity tools, anything that you use or that you would recommend people use?
So, Meetup, absolutely. Go to Meetup. Look for the different Meetup communities in your area for things you're interested in. Yeah. So if you have, for example, an interest in AI in healthcare, go to Meetup and look for AI in healthcare. Yeah. If you're interested in network engineering, find the groups that are talking about that. Yeah. And let's be honest, Discord servers are taking over the world, especially Discord. I love you guys, Jason. With Jason and Taylor and Brianna, Jimena, and everyone is building a Torque with their Discord is amazing. Yeah, man. There's a lot of Discord communities that you can find for like-minded people. So look out for those. Look out for LinkedIn. Yeah. Attend conferences if you go to. I know I won't be able to be at Render in Atlanta. But Render's a great one.
It's a shame, yeah.
We'll be at All Things Open in October in Raleigh. Yeah. So that's another great one. So check them out. I do want to point out, because she's an amazing friend of mine. She wrote an amazing book. Stacy White Knight.
Right. That was my next question. If you want to, give a shout out to anybody doing cool stuff. Yeah. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So Stacy White Knight, I worked with her. I was part of the board for Latinos in Tech of North Carolina in that chapter. Yeah. And she wrote an amazing book called Empowered to Lead. Okay. And in her book, she basically gives women a blueprint on how to navigate the tech world. Yeah. Because it can be a little hard. Yeah. And honestly, even though I'm a cisgender male, I was able to get a lot out of that book. And Stacy is someone that I hope will one day be on your show, because she has an amazing background. But
that'd be great.
She wrote that book, and I'll give her
the shout out,
the link, the shout out here, and
you can drop it in the comments also if you have a link to her, or like even like her LinkedIn page or something like that.
Yeah, so I will do that. And then one thing that I would want to also make sure, Torque, obviously,
right. Yep.
I have to make the post, but I am now a proud ambassador of the
Torque community. Let's go. Good to have you aboard.
I am not a developer, but I've always worked adjacent to developers. So that I'm also working with Paula Ramos. I'll drop her LinkedIn there. We are working on a AI ML group for Spanish speakers.
Okay.
A la comunidad estamos aquí porque IA va a avanzar y estamos aquí para apoyar y ayudar en cualquier manera que podemos. So if you understood that, come join.
I won't be joining.
We're also looking to eventually start up a chapter of AI Tinkerers here in Raleigh. So shout out to them. But and that's what I have going on. I eventually will have some more opportunities where I'll be able to speak and give more chats. I'm working on some chats right now.
That's the next thing I was going to ask. If you have anything you want to plug, any talks you're doing soon.
Yeah, so talks are forthcoming. So once I have that,
okay. All right, so stay tuned for announcements from you.
I will do that. I also want to shout out Dave, Antoine, and there's a community we have that's a great community. African American, Latinos, everyone's welcome. But for those who are learning networking and looking to get into being network engineers, we have an amazing Discord. Dave does some amazing LinkedIn sessions. I'll make sure I put that on the comments there. Dave and Antoine, love those two gentlemen. They are they're part of my brain trust.
Okay, nice.
and so definitely want to, for anyone looking to get in that, I'll go ahead and plug in that as well to get connected.
Nice.
But
okay.
Definitely, check them out.
Yeah.
Check out what Stacy's doing. Stacy's been an incredible mentor to me, and I've learned so much from Stacy.
Nice.
In the 2 years that I've gotten to know her, and the rest of the people that I met in Latinos in Tech, too many in the name, but you all know who you are. So
okay, nice. Okay, everybody, make sure you connect with Danny. His LinkedIn should be somewhere here, and I'm also going to make a post afterwards just to thank him for being here. Final question that I want to ask before we finish: any piece of advice, like a final bit of wisdom you want to give, something you would tell your younger self, or something along those lines that we can finish off with?
I would tell my younger self, it's going to be a hell of a journey because I never thought I'd do this. Honestly, when I was a little kid, I thought I'd be either a professional wrestler or bodybuilder. Fun fact, my father actually named me after a bodybuilder. It was named after Mia, South American bodybuilder.
Yeah, okay.
So for a while, I knew more Mr. Olympias than U.S. presidents.
Right.
And, I knew more wrestlers than presidents and senators. In that culture, I never thought I thought one day I may go to a wrestling school. Never thought I'd get into IT. Never thought I'd be doing this. Never thought I'd get to go to South America because of IT or pay my bills because of IT. So what I would tell my younger self is enjoy the ride. There's tough moments like layoffs or just rough days, but it's going to be a hell of a ride. Enjoy it.
Yeah, that's great. I love that. Okay, great. Well, everybody, thanks for being here today. We'll be back not next week because next week I'm flying to Atlanta next week, Wednesday. So there will be no episode, but the week after that, we'll be back with somebody. Can't remember who it is, but I have somebody booked for that week. Danny, stick around so I can say goodbye to you backstage. And hope everybody has a great Wednesday, a great rest of the week. Thank you all for being here, and goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.